The NBA regular season is coming to a close, which means MVP debates are heating up more than ever before. And when I say more than ever before, I really do mean ever before. The top 3 MVP candidates that everybody seems to agree on are Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. Jokic is looking to earn his 3rd straight MVP, which hasn't been done by an NBA player since Larry Bird in the mid-80s, and in case you haven't noticed, both Jokic and Larry Bird happen to be white. And there are some people who believe that Jokic winning a 3rd straight MVP would be an example of white favoritism or white privilege or whatever. Now, I usually try to avoid stuff like this on my channel because the moment you drop race into any sort of conversation, the entire conversation turns into a complete clusterfuck, and that's what this year's MVP debate has become, even though Jokic, by every statistical measure, has basically been the best player in the league once again, and would be a worthy winner of a 3rd straight MVP. But you see, we've gotten to the point where Jokic's stats are so great that people actually use them against him, which I can't really ever remember happening for any other player. Most notably, I'm talking about advanced stats. Now, advanced stats, there's always been a big debate about eye test and bag Twitter versus the analytics and VORP and PER and stuff like this, and Jokic has become the poster boy of advanced stats, and there are some people who don't like that. So they use Jokic's incredible advanced stats against him to say that he's overrated. Like anything, advanced stats have its flaws. For example, I do believe that they overrate Jokic defensively, which, let's just say, Joel Embiid fans are more than happy to point out whenever they can. However, even including defense, Jokic still has all of the best on-off numbers and impact numbers you can look at. He's also played more games than Embiid and Giannis, and his team has the worst record without him, whereas Giannis and Embiid's teams both have winning records when they don't play this year. We're not talking about some Steve Nash type bullshit MVP where his numbers are very good but not great, whereas Jokic is averaging 25 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists per game on 63% shooting for a team that's top 2 in the Western Conference. We're not talking about some, let's just give him another MVP because he won the last 2. This guy legitimately has a great argument for winning the MVP, no matter which way you look at it, whether it's raw stats, whether it's advanced stats, whether it's on-off stats, whether it's team record. I really don't see an argument where Jokic isn't the winner. And this entire controversy about him winning MVP again just feels so forced because Jokic really hasn't done anything. He hasn't said anything or done anything on the court to warrant all this criticism. To me, this really shows how terrible the NBA media is at covering the game, and it's been this way for years. There always has to be some sort of controversy or drama that's reminiscent of Gossip Girl or some other crappy CW high school drama show. Another argument I see for Jokic not being able to win a 3rd straight MVP, which again is a regular season award, is that his playoff career has been underwhelming, and therefore him winning all these MVPs devalues the award. But to that I say, how would Joel Embiid winning it help that argument? Because Joel Embiid in his career has accomplished less in the playoffs than Jokic has. In fact, Joel Embiid has only played 1 complete playoff series win in his entire career. In 9 playoff series, his teams are 4-5, and in 3 of his 4 playoff series wins, he missed at least 1 win due to injury. He's never played back-to-back playoff series in any season without getting injured and missing games, and he's never made a conference finals, whereas Jokic has, but Embiid fans are quick to point out that this happened in the bubbles, so it really didn't count, even though it was on an NBA regulation-sized court against NBA players under regular NBA rules, but I digress. The other argument for Embiid that his fans make and are willing to do, as I alluded to earlier, is point out Jokic's flaws defensively, whereas Embiid is this amazing defensive player, and to that I say, good offense always beats good defense. And as we've seen, how exactly has Embiid's incredible defense translated to the postseason? It certainly hasn't helped him win more. It hasn't made him more impactful in terms of the on-off numbers. And what good is being such a better defender if you're constantly missing more games every season than another guy? Again, it's true that Jokic isn't a great defender, but guess what? Neither was Magic Johnson or Stephen Curry. Does anybody ever use that against them to argue that they're not all-time great players or that they weren't worthy of their MVPs? Like Magic and Steph, Jokic is a GOAT-level offensive weapon. So therefore, his mediocre to below-average defense really doesn't matter because his offense is that good. Embiid also has great offensive numbers, but this is where my complete hatred of his style of play comes into the discussion. Embiid averages 12 free throw attempts per game compared to 6 for Jokic, and let's just be honest here, folks, a lot of that is because Embiid flops and flails like a giant baby. Much like his teammate James Harden did during his peak years in Houston. It's terrible basketball, and quite honestly, I hate seeing it get rewarded. Remember last year in the playoffs against Miami when Embiid flopped so badly to the ground he fell into Danny Green's knee and blew it out, ending his season and probably his career? Embiid is just terrible to watch, and his style of play is horrible, which is disappointing because he's talented enough and exciting enough when he wants to be a low post presence to actually be enjoyable to watch. It's a shame that he resorts to such cheap tactics to be effective offensively. Now, I know Embiid fans will watch this and say, well, you can't hate on Embiid because he's great getting to the line, and to that I say, yes, I fucking can, because it's terrible to watch, and my entertainment is what matters most. Ref baiting should not be rewarded. That's why Harden should not have an MVP on his resume, because he was even worse than Embiid was at flopping. And speaking of Harden, did you know that he's averaging over 21 points a game this year and leading the league in assists? And guess whose team he plays on? That's right, Joel Embiid's. So Embiid has a better teammate than anybody on Jokic's roster. So that's another smaller example or argument against Embiid in the MVP discussion. Embiid fans will say, well, the only reason Jokic has better on-off splits is because he subs out with the rest of the starters. And to that I say, who the hell do you think is the catalyst behind the Nuggets starters having such incredible on-off splits? Yeah, Nikola Jokic. So this whole argument against him just doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I digress. The third wheel in the MVP convo this year is Giannis, and all of Giannis's arguments for winning MVP boil down to, well, he has the most playoff success, he's won a championship and a finals MVP, which again makes no sense, and that he's the quote-unquote best player in the world and the quote-unquote most dominant player. Now, those are superlatives that really are vague and don't have any strict definition. The facts are that Giannis lags behind both Embiid and Jokic in a lot of main stats, even though, again, obviously Giannis is having a phenomenal season because guess what? He's one of the best players of all time. But to me, Giannis is a distant third behind both Embiid and Jokic. Sure, in a vacuum in the postseason, Giannis might be more valuable and the best of the three, but as regards to the regular season, in this regular season only, he's in third place. But if you want to give Giannis the award because he's the unofficial best player in the world, I mean, I don't really have a problem with that either, because guess what? That means that LeBron would have about 15 MVPs right now because he was the best player in the world for a decade and a half. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not completely sold on Giannis being the best player in the world. He might be, he certainly has a great argument for it, but to me, I'm still spooked by how limited he is offensively in a half-court offense late in a close game. Sure, he can dominate you in the paint, but guess what? He can't hit jumpers and he can't shoot free throws well still. I understand he had that anomaly in Game 6 of the finals a couple years ago when he went off for 50 points and he had like amazing free throw shooting. I get that. But as quiet as it's kept, Chris Middleton was the guy who was hitting a lot of the big shots for the Bucks in that playoff run. And also, Giannis literally missed 2 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, both of which the Bucks won without him. I'm just saying, don't kill me, okay? I'm just pointing out what happened, all right? So, you know what? On second thought, actually, no. I want you to get angry. Get angry at me, Bucks fans and Giannis fans. Go in my comments right now and yell at me. Make me feel like a naughty boy, goddammit. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to apologize for the comments I made at the end of that last segment. I got a little bit too excited, and I am deeply ashamed of it. If I've hurt anyone out there with my comments, I cannot tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart that I am so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith, as there's a drive into deep left field by Castellanos, and that'll be a home run. I don't know if I'm going to be making videos again after this. I don't know if it's going to be just on my own, or I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at YouTube. So now, after all the rambling I've done in this video, it's time for me to choose who I believe deserves to win MVP the most out of Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. And the answer is none of them. You really think that I would choose any of these 3 losers over the troops, the men and women who sacrifice themselves every single day for our freedoms and go overseas and risk their lives so we can play basketball games like this? Okay? You really think I would choose any of those 3 guys over the troops? You're wrong. The troops deserve MVP, and they also deserve Defensive Player of the Year, because nobody protects us better than the troops. Jokic fans, Embiid fans, Giannis fans, you can all kiss my butt cheeks, although I will say if any of you 3 are able to defeat the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs, I will become an immediate member of your fan base, because really the biggest enemy here is the Golden State Warriors. We cannot allow them to win. We have to come together as an NBA community and not allow Steph Curry and the Warriors to win another championship. The fate of the universe and the future of this country is resting upon it. I will take back every single negative thing I said in this video about Jokic, about Embiid and Giannis if they're able to defeat the Warriors in the playoffs this year. Because guess what? I know at some point one of the 3 is going to run into them. And if you think I was too easy on Jokic in this video, guess what? I wish it was LeBron who was in Jokic's place. I mean, screw Jokic. I don't even care about him. I just want LeBron to win as many rings as possible, okay? And guess what? Because Michael Jordan paid off Solomon Hill to do a kamikaze into LeBron's ankle a couple years ago when LeBron was in prime position to win his 5th ring and 5th MVP and 5th Finals MVP, and also going even way back before that, when after LeBron won his 3rd ring and he beat his 73-win team in the finals, MJ purposely hired Kevin Durant to sabotage his legacy to join a 73-win team to prevent LeBron from winning more rings. I know know this for a fact. I just can't prove it, but you gotta believe me. Michael Jordan went to all these extreme lengths to make sure that LeBron did not match or surpass him in rings. And unfortunately, it worked. And unfortunately, because of that, I had to listen to so many dumbasses talk about how LeBron is a loser and not as good as Michael Jordan, even though MJ played against ice cream truck drivers and off-duty firefighters. You like that, huh? Did that get you angry, huh? Did all the other stuff I did to make you angry didn't make you angry, but it wasn't until I praised LeBron and made fun of MJ that I got you angry, didn't I, huh? I knew I was going to get you at some point. Nothing makes people more angry than LeBron praise. I don't know why, but it's just insecurity about him being better than Jordan. See, I just made you angry again, didn't I? Mission accomplished. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already.